fire, killing Mr. Joseph because in fear for their lives due to Mr. Joseph shooting at them. Now, we just learned just a few minutes ago that the state has changed their entire story. They're now stating that that Mr. Joseph did brandish a weapon, but he did not fire at officers. They did not find any shell casings at the scene. They're now saying that a standard protocol is for them is to check gun residue on his hands. They're saying that they never checked for the gun residue on his hands. They're saying that their policies changed and that they no longer check for gun residue on the hands of alleged suspects when there's a possibility that bullets that may have hit the suspect's body from police may have affected the hands or affected the testing. Anyways, basically, a long story short, the state has changed their entire story as to what actually happened that led to the death of Jonas Joseph. As I said a few weeks ago, as we stand here today, we are able to officially say this is official murder. They murdered Jonas Joseph, and they have and basically what they did is they came up with a false story that would sound legitimate enough to make sense to the public that would justify the shooting of Jonas Joseph. What does not make sense to me is they're still saying that there's no dash cam video footage available from the night Mr. Joseph was killed. One thing I know for certain, as a nephew of a member that worked for TPD for many years, Tampa PDs, they have over 500 fleet vehicles. All of them are equipped with dashboard camera. There is protocol and procedure that clearly stipulates that when they are engaging in a felony traffic stop, they must activate their patrol cruiser lights, which then automatically activates their dashboard cameras. All of them have dashboard cameras, just like in the case of Dante Morris. They were able to release dash cam within 24 hours of the case of Dante Morning of the killing of 2 Tampa police officers in 2011. Like many other cases, the Tampa PD is notorious for releasing video footage within the first few days that would collaborate their statements that would lead as to what their versions of events that led to the killing of Jonas Joseph. That led to killings or other incidences where they claimed that their shootings were justified. But in this case here of Jonas Joseph, they're saying they have no footage or no video evidence. We find that appalling. We know now that this is pure murder. We know that what they're attempting to do is cover it up. We do know that there's serious corruption within the Tampa Police Department. We also know that Chief Dugan bluntly lied on April 29th as the state attorney is lying this morning. What we do plan to do is continue to get with the family. The family has hired attorneys. We are going to make sure that legal litigation is brought against the state. We are demanding the FBI to come in and investigate. We are going to demand that outside sources of law enforcement come in and investigate this case because we do know for a fact this is murder. They have changed their entire story. The story they're saying now does not make absolutely any sense. This is sad. It's sad that we're here today, just like in the case of George Floyd and Fernando Castile and Ahmaud Arbery. The stories have changed so much that it's become confusing to trust the credibility of law enforcement, especially the Tampa Police Department. So we are going to be assisting the family with pursuing legal litigation against the state. We are demanding the FBI to investigate, and we do know now this is pure murder. We do know that the state attorney, Andrew Warren, is now trying to cover up this murder. And we're going to do everything we can to make sure that charges are brought against each and every officer that took place in the shooting of Jonas Joseph and each and every officer that attempted to cover up this murder with applying a bunch of false lies and new narratives. I'm getting ready to bring up Ms. Donna Davis. She is the director of Black Lives Matter of Tampa. Thank you.
Can you all hear me? Okay. My name is Donna Davis. I am the co-founder of Black Lives Matter Tampa, which is an organization that was founded in the global network in 2014. DONNA DAVIS. Before I begin, I want to offer this to the public. Last night, we were threatened. We were warned that this press conference today could potentially cause problems in our city. One of our organizers was pulled over by the police on the way here. I was warned last night by a local pastor that they had information that I would need a lawyer for defamation of character, as officials would seek to discredit our organization and our individual selves. We are proceeding because this is the work that has to be done. Our democracy dies in darkness, and we are here today to shed light on what happened to Jonas Joseph on the night of April the 28th. The information that we received this morning that we did not have before is that a total of 125 rounds were fired to Mr. Joseph. 7 of those rounds were said to have hit him. Interestingly, no shell casings were found at the scene that would prove categorically that Mr. Joseph fired his gun. Coincidentally, the drive-by shooting that he was said to have been a part of a week earlier, they were able to find forensic evidence that matches the gun and say without a doubt that Mr. Joseph was involved in a drive-by shooting. And yet we're unable to find anything that said he fired his gun on the night of April 28th. There are no dash cam videos. We've heard numbers that say as many as 15, as few as 8 cars were on the scene that night. No dash cam video exists from that night. Now, what we do know is the angle that they said the cars were parked did not permit them to collect dash cam video, not even from the car that was parked directly behind Mr. Joseph. He is said to have fired 1 to 3 rounds, and again, as I said before, there are no casings that prove that happened. Because gun residue samples are not taken from the hands of the decedent, which is not, I'm told, customary practice any longer, they were unable to determine if Mr. Joseph actually fired his gun. And that's the information that I believe is most important while we make assessment of what could have happened. We're unable to make a determination about what happened to Mr. Joseph in the absence of clear evidence. We're being asked to believe the lack of evidence, the, how shall I say, the inadequate body of evidence that's been presented to determine that Mr. Joseph acted in a way that brought about his own death. Now, to speak directly to the warnings of creating problems in the city, and problems is not my word, problems is the word that was given to me. I will say that there will be those who will attempt to assert their First Amendment rights regarding the information given here today and at the State Attorney's press conference. We of Black Lives Matter Restoration Polk, we of Black Lives Matter Tampa, we of Puede, all of whom you see, the leaders and organizers behind me, ask that you organize peacefully. We ask that you organize and protest without violence. We ask that you assert your rights peacefully. Thank you.
Now, again, I do want to make it clear that, as Mrs. Davis stated, that they are indicating that there's no dash cam footage available of the night in question in which Jonas Joseph was killed. But ironically, there's dash cam footage of the night Dante Morris shot 2 Tampa police officers. Ironically, they're able to produce dash cam and other video evidence of other incidents that involve Tampa Police Department, police-involved shootings. But on this night, they're saying there's no video evidence, and all we can go by is the statements given by the chief of police and now the state attorney, with no video evidence that can corroborate their story. We do not trust the credibility of the Tampa Police Department, nor do we trust the credibility of the State Attorney Andrew Warren. So again, we are going to be calling on the FBI, and we are going to be calling on the high authority officials to investigate this case, and we are demanding an arrest for each and every officer. We know that this does not make sense. There is absolutely no way that you can tell me that a man can shoot at cops, lead them on a high-speed chase, crash into a tree, then get out of this vehicle and start shooting again. Well, that's what Chief Dugan originally said on April 29th. Now it's a completely different story. Now they're saying they fired at him as he was exiting his vehicle. Another thing is they're saying that an officer uses baton to knock out the windows prior to Jonas shooting. Now, originally they're saying that they never had a chance to even approach the car because Mr. Joseph started firing at officers. Now they're saying that one of their officers did indeed use a baton to bash out the driver's side window and some of the windows of the vehicle Jonas was driving. To change your complete story from an original statement you gave on April 29th to now lets us know that what they did was they came up with a story that sounded legitimate enough to them to present to the public that would justify police-involved shooting. What we're going to do now, like I said, is demand the FBI to get involved and investigate. We do appreciate it. We do appreciate you guys coming out. We're not accepting any questions. Please refer all your questions to the state attorney, I believe it is, the mayor and the Tampa police chief. But be very careful and watch everything they're going to say from this point on out as to what they claim happened to Mr. Joseph on April 28, 2020.
Hang on, you can't go away without answering a couple questions because you made some very serious accusations. Did you get to read the report they just released to the press and the public? Have you read any of the evidence or any of the things that they are claiming?
Ma'am, we're going to refer all questions back to Andrew Warren, Jane Castor, and Brian Dugan. We will not be taking any further questions with the exception of Spanish-speaking media. Thank you very much for your time.
Can you identify who's behind you here?
Sure.
No.
Can you tell us what church you're with or organization you're with?
I just want to be able to properly identify.
Okay, I'm going to identify who I am. I'm Pastor Carl Soto. I am the Vice President of Black Lives Matter Restoration Polk, Inc. I'm also the Associate Minister of House of Kingdom Worship Center of Boynton Beach, Florida. But I am a Tampa resident. The family is here, but they're choosing